some pushback. And there are a lot of questions surrounding it, right? We're talking about the I-77 project now happening later today. The historic community, Charlotte neighborhood and community that's expected to be impacted by this, McCrory Heights neighborhood. There is going to be a community walk to give residents and visitors a firsthand look at how infrastructure projects have impacted the community. It's been put on through Sustain Charlotte. So I just want to put that out there. That's happening. That's happening this evening. But there was a pretty good discussion with a couple of city council members. One being Malcolm Graham, the other one being Ed Driggs. We had them in studio, and Julie Kay is here in studio. She spoke with both men about the project. Again, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. Give me your takeaway, because this is they came in separately, but this is this space, and this is for Flashpoint. I want Monday.
Yeah.
But it's a great space to kind of really flesh out what is happening.
This is an incredibly complicated issue. I think I told you last week, I've been avoiding it because it's so complicated. But since this is really, I mean, this is the hot topic in the community right now. This is affecting so many people. And there's a lot of, we're kind of in a waiting period right now to see what happens next. And so for our Flashpoint episode on Monday, we decided to bring in both Malcolm Graham and Ed Driggs to talk about where council is at right now. These are two people that, you know, may seem like they probably don't agree a lot of the time, but will have to work together to decide where council goes next. And so that's kind of where this discussion was. We didn't even really get into the tolls themselves and the benefits or disadvantages of each option of the elevated or the tunnels. We briefly touched on that, but really the overall discussion was about next steps for council and next steps for the project. At this point, nobody that we've spoken to is saying stop the whole thing. Everyone seems to be on the same page that I-77 is a problem. I mean, if you've driven on it, you know. And so there has to be some sort of solution here. What that solution is, at this point for NCDOT, is those elevated toll lanes that we've talked about. But we're in this waiting period where NCDOT has agreed to listen to the community more after hearing so many complaints from McCrory Heights and residents near Uptown who are saying this is going to negatively affect the environment, historical communities, noise, elevated lanes are going to be just a nuisance in general. You can't widen it any further. I think what was so interesting, though, is that what we heard from, again, two council members on opposite sides of the aisle who tend not to see eye to eye on everything, was they both said separately, you can't move I-77. It's already there. What we do now is how do we mitigate or minimize harm to the communities that are impacted while still trying to find a solution for Charlotte. And so, and this is not to speak for all of council, because there are still people that, you know, may try to push to get a full stop, although that doesn't seem particularly possible at this point. And there are still a lot of people in the community, I want to point out, that do want a full stop on this project. But I think what's interesting now is if NCDOT is to change course at all. But at this point, I think council seems like they are willing to also listen to the community and see what people have to say.
Yeah, because that was the biggest thing. Community members felt like they were not being heard. And and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, there was one meeting where there was actual sort of a, I don't want to even call it a protest, but maybe a protest in the middle of a meeting. So things got heated around this project.
Yeah, this is not an easy solution no matter what. I don't think there is a solution that every single person is going to be happy, which is not uncommon in city government, government in general. But this one just being something that affects so many people, not just who commute in Charlotte, but these neighborhoods that have been there for years that are going to be impacted no matter what the solution is.
And really no timeline, right? Because there's nothing sort of tangible, like.
All we know at this point is that NCDOT has agreed to, you know, a couple months of listening.
Yeah.
But I do want to be clear that the scope of the project has not changed. It's just getting community feedback. And you and I have talked about Sustain Charlotte opening up to a contest basically for people to submit their own innovative ideas for what I-77 could look like. But then at that point, we also have to talk about money. We already have this agreement with NCDOT. Some of these ideas that people may say minimizes harm, probably costs more. The tunnel is the highest cost of the options that we've discussed so far. And that's not to say it doesn't have its own disadvantages too on top of cost, but I think that was an interesting tidbit that I took away from the conversations too, is some things unfortunately aren't feasible with the resources at hand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just been the biggest thing. If you take away this project, just resources and funding has just been the biggest theme from last year carried over to 2026.
Yeah.
Julie, you don't want to miss this episode. I mean, you're going to do a preview of that episode this evening. When can folks catch that?
We'll have a little bit of our conversations with both of them at 4:30 tonight, and then Flashpoint, the full episode with both full conversations, will air at 9 p.m. on Monday.